Welcome back to Cloud 2K, and this is the Cloud Report. So today on the Cloud Report, I am talking about the Washington Wizards because, man, oh man, are the Washington Wizards really, really bad. They are 2-18, which puts them on a 16-game losing streak. They went 0-14 in November, and they're 0-2 in December. They haven't won a game since October. I mean, just think about that. They're pretty much on pace to what the Pistons were last year, where they lost 28 straight games. And if you remember, Kyle Kuzma had that tweet, don't be that team. Right now, they are that team that Kyle Kuzma was making fun of last year. So it came back to bite him a little bit. I mean, this team is really interesting because I don't understand where the future is with this team. So you got Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma, two, we'll call them veterans. I mean, Kyle Kuzma is like 30. Jordan Poole's not quite as old, but like guys that have been around the league for a little bit. Valanciunas, Malcolm Brogdon, guys that have kind of been around the league a lot for a good amount of time. Kyle Kuzma is having, for his sake, a really, really bad season. He's averaging 16 points, about 5.5 rebounds, about 2 assists, 42% from the floor, 27% from the three-point line, and 68% from the free throw line. I mean, these are like from last year. Last year he was having 22, about 4 assists, about 6 rebounds. That was the moment he needed to be traded from the Washington Wizards. This experiment is not working. It's bad. He's hurt right now. He's got that rib injury. He's not playing against the Nuggets today as I record this. They play the Nuggets later today. He's not playing in that game. I don't know what kind of trade value he has, though. This is the worst season he's had probably since the 2020-2021 Lakers season where he only averaged 13. That's because he kind of got buried on the depth chart between LeBron, AD, and stuff like that. It's not good for Kyle Kuzma, and he's just tanking his own trade value. What is it that, what team would want a Kyle Kuzma right now? If you remember last year at the trade deadline, they wanted to trade him to the Dallas Mavericks, and he was the one that said no because it was like he didn't think he could win a championship there. It was like something along those lines, and then they ended up going to the NBA Finals, but losing to the Celtics. But by not going through that trade, the Mavericks turned around and traded for PJ Washington, who just ended up being much, much better and much, much more impactful throughout the playoff run. So I think they're happier with the PJ Washington trade versus a Kyle Kuzma trade. At this point in time, I just don't understand. Like I said, I don't know where he's going to go. His contract, he's going to be around for, I believe, a couple more years. He had a player option. So I guess this is the last year of his deal, which, yeah, it looks like the last year of his deal. I don't know what kind of contract. He's making $25 million this season on that player option. He's not getting $25 million in open free agency. I don't know what's going to go with Kyle Kuzma. He might have really, really hurt himself big. I mean, he did hurt himself big time, kind of neglecting that trade to the Dallas Mavericks. And you look at a guy like Jordan Poole, who is having a better season than last year. He's having about 20 points, about 2 rebounds, about 5 assists, 43 from the floor, about 40% from the three-point line as well. But again, they're really, really bad. I mean, they're just... they brought him over there because, obviously, that whole thing happened in Golden State, where, they wasn't sure how he really fit with the team, and then the Draymond Green situation. So they made the trade to send Chris Paul over there, and, you get the younger guy because Chris Paul was definitely on his way out of Washington. He wasn't thinking, but last year was really, really bad, was turning the ball over a lot, couldn't play defense, and the defense still isn't there. The turnovers this year are at 3.3. He's still turning the ball over a lot so far this season, but he's scoring better. He's shooting better from the floor. Like I said, the field goal percentage is up. You're looking a little bit better, but for the big contract he's on, he's still got a while on his contract. We look at Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole's got this year, 2025 season, 2026 season, and then he's an unrestricted free agent. So you got to pay him, that is $33, $35, and $37 million over the next 2 to 3 years. And he's just not even close to being worth that kind of money. I don't think you even have any trade value for him either. I don't know what team's going to want him making that kind of money to be a bench piece. It's really what I think he is in this league. It's where he excelled at in Golden State, but now they want him there as a starting point guard, and it's not working. Bilal Coulibaly, I'm a huge fan of Bilal Coulibaly. He came in last year, averaged about 8 points, about a steal, about a block a game, 4 rebounds, about 2 assists, and he kind of fit this role. He fits this role of a winning basketball player. He's the type of guy that when I'm trying to think of it, I don't. Is Gary Payton II a good comp? Not maybe play style wise, but the most value you're gonna see with a guy like Bilal Coulibaly is a connecting piece to a good winning team. where it's as a team like the Wizards that are really, really bad, and he's looked at to be more of a scorer, more of a higher option in this team. That's just not really what his game is right now. It's his second season. He's 20 years old. He has plenty of time. He's averaging about 12 points, 3 assists, 5 rebounds. Yeah, averaging a steal in a game, about half a block, but he's shooting 28% from the three-point line on about one attempt a game. He doesn't really have the shot right now, and that's something that can definitely develop. Like I said, he's only 20 years old. By the time he's 24, 25, he could be a league average or maybe above league average three-point shooter. On about 3 attempts last year, he shot about 34%. So I think we can probably rely on him being at least a league average three-point shooter in this league, but I don't know what kind of development he's going to have on his Washington Wizards team that is just really, really bad because it doesn't fit the role of what he does as a player. It doesn't, I don't think you're going to get the most out of Bilal Coulibaly at this point in time, but I get it. As the Wizards, you need to take swings on guys like this. You need to take swings on guys that are going to play a role because that's how you build a team. The problem is right now they don't have their number one guy to then build around. You don't have your piece that you're trying to build around. Now you say that and you're like, okay, well, what about this year's draft class? They draft Alex Sarr with the second overall pick, and you're like, okay, right now his offense is bad. He's averaging about 10.5 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists on 38% from the floor, 25% from the three-point line, and 66% from the free throw line. That's a 7-footer. He is 7 foot, shooting 38% from the floor. And he's made it very, very clear he'd prefer to play a power forward than a center right now. It's not good. It's not how many. It's about 4. He's shooting about 4.5 threes a game, shooting 25%. I understand right now they have Valanciunas there at the 5 spot. Maybe he, over the next year or two, kind of full time takes over that 5 spot. But right now, he just doesn't look like he has it. Again, it's only been 20 games into his NBA career, so I'm not writing Alex Sarr off at all. I was actually a really, really big fan of Alex Sarr going into the draft this year, but him playing the 4 is a weird spot, and him not being able to even shoot 40% from the floor as a 7-footer is ridiculous. That there's just no excuse for that. We talk about that with Wemby being 7'4" and taking these crazy, crazy jump shots. He's even Wemby's even a better shooter than Alex Sarr, but at least Wemby's kind of getting the idea of I am 7'4". Let me get to the paint. You are 7 foot, Alex Sarr. You should be getting down into the paint, getting on the block. That's how you should be developing. Again, I understand Valanciunas is there at the 5 spot right now, but we have to look way, way past this year. Valanciunas probably isn't even going to be here past the trade deadline. There's been links about him going to maybe the Lakers or some other teams because the Lakers are going to be involved with pretty much anybody that's on the trade market because they're also interested in Brandon Ingram as well. But there's a very, very good chance you're going to be playing the center spot full time halfway through the season. So they don't really have a lot of point guard play right now either. So that's definitely not helping his development because they did draft Bub Carrington, who Bub Carrington for the first week or two of the season was the leader in the Rookie of the Year race. He's averaging about 9 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 40% from the field, 35% from 3, 80% from the free throw line. And I don't know. He's definitely taken some starting minutes. He definitely has started quite a bit, but 1.5 threes a game, shooting 35%. Okay, so the volume isn't really there. The turnovers, about 2 turnovers a game on 4 assists. It's a 2-to-1 ratio. Not great. Bub Carrington is only, 19 years old, I believe? He's 19 years old in 139 days. He's about 19 and a half years old. Again, they have a lot of young talent, but it just seems like, where is it going, right? You probably don't want Jordan Poole there full time, or long time. You don't want Kyle Kuzma there in the long term. You don't want Valanciunas there in the long term. Malcolm Brogdon don't want there in the long term. They got something finally, year 4 or 5 of Denny last year, and then they traded him to Portland to get the pick that ended up getting Bub Carrington. So maybe you just kind of take that as what it is. But it's you don't have a lot to, be excited about right now. And again, Bub Carrington, Alex Sarr, Bilal Coulibaly, these are guys you can be excited about. But, with the way the construction is of this team right now, it's not good for the development of this team. And it makes me really, really concerned that these guys might have the worst future in the NBA. I understand, draft pick wise, a lot of, some of these really good teams that are older might not have a great future, but, they don't really have a lot going for them. They are the number 30 defense, or number 30 offense in the entire NBA, two whole points less than the New Orleans Pelicans team that is dealing with injuries to every single one of their players. I said it earlier, I messed up earlier, but they have also the worst defense in the league, giving up another whole 1.3 points than the New Orleans Pelicans, who I just said have all those injuries. Net rating, they are negative 16. That means they're losing these games on average by 16 points. And at 29, at 12.2, negative 12.2, almost a full 4 points better is, again, the New Orleans Pelicans, who are 5-8 team. They're not good right now either. But they've also played 23 games. So they've played some more games. I understand that fully. Pace, they're not even that bad pace-wise. They're actually the fourth pace team in the league right now. That's because they have some young guys they can run the floor with. And I think that's the upside of having a young team, and that you want them to be able to run the court. But the problem is it's just not turning into anything because the offense is really bad. The defense is really bad. Turnover-wise, I'm sure they're pretty high into turnovers. I'll see if I can find it here. They're never mind. They're about middle of the pack, a little bit worse than middle of the pack on turnover percentage. So it's not quite as bad as I thought it would. But it's not good at all. Not good at all. This team is really, really bad. Like I said, they are on pace. They're on pace to break the Pistons' record of 28 straight losses last season. Literally, last season the record was broken for most losses in a row, and they are already on a 16-game losing streak this year. We're gonna pull up their schedule. It's not exactly easy. So as I'm recording this, they play the Nuggets today at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Tomorrow they play the Grizzlies, two teams that are above 500, pretty good teams. Then they're off because the NBA Cup is this week, so they're not involved in that. They play the Cavs on Friday, who are one of the best teams in the league. Then they turn around and play the Celtics on Sunday. Then they play the Hornets on the following Thursday. That's okay, a winnable game. Then you go back to the Bucks. You go to Milwaukee. Then you go to Oklahoma City. Then Charlotte comes to town. Okay, maybe a win. The Knicks come to town. You play the Knicks back-to-back, December 28th, December 30th. The Bulls, okay, Pelicans again. It kind of eases up. But for the next 8 or so games, there's a very good chance you get your ass handed to. Even some of these games against the Bulls, against the Pelicans, you could, or even the Hornets. I know LaMelo Ball's probably not going to be playing, unfortunately, but we're still trying to figure that out. There's a very, very real possibility you lose 20-plus games in a row, which we found out from the Pistons last year is not a good thing. And they have nothing, like I said, nothing right now on this team is set in stone. I think they have probably the worst future in the NBA. Maybe I'm wrong with that. And if you're a Wizards fan, because technically where I live, the Wizards are one of my local teams. Between them and the Philadelphia 76ers, we're on League Pass. I can't watch a lot of the games to get blacked out, so I watch a Wizards game when I can. So if I say something in here that you're like, well, that's just not true, you know that's not right, let me know in the comments below, because I'm trying to learn more about this Wizards team. But I'm going to a game of theirs on the 19th. They're playing the Hornets on the 19th. Unfortunately, like I said, I don't think LaMelo Ball's going to be playing. But I do like the Wizards. They're somewhat of a local team, so I kind of pride myself in being a Wizards fan, but not really. Right now, we have an article from, who was this made by? Jeremy Brenner. Wizards on pace for the worst season ever. What I was pretty much just saying. Bleacher Report writer Andy Bailey highlighted how poor the Wizards have been so far. The quote is, "The Washington Wizards aren't just the worst NBA team in 2024-2025. They may be trending toward being one of the worst teams we've ever seen," Bailey writes. After losing by 36 points on Thursday, and that was to the Dallas Mavericks, Washington now has an average season losing point differential of minus 16.85, which is what we were showing earlier with the stats. That's on pace to be the worst mark in NBA history, and it's almost 2 points clear of the team currently holding down that spot. 1992-1993 Dallas Mavericks were minus 15.2. So they're damn near 2 whole points worse than the worst team of all time. So, in our lifetime, or my lifetime, I was born 2001, I'm going to see the best team of all time, record-wise, with the 73-9 Warriors, and probably the worst team of all time. That's pretty sick. Within like 10 years of each other. That's pretty sick. That's pretty sick. And again, yeah, to make matters worse, the Wizards have one of the toughest schedules in the NBA this season. And it don't get much easier. The next 4 consecutive opponents all over 500. But yeah, there's still 60 games left, so they obviously have plenty of time to win. And maybe you see the rookies start playing a lot better as the season goes on. Maybe Alex Sarr can start hitting some shots and his offense actually turn into something. Maybe Bob Carrington gets more minutes and becomes more of a standout rookie. Maybe Bilal Coulibaly with them playing better, might be able to fit his role a lot better. Maybe he starts shooting the 3-ball better. Maybe this team definitely can be better than that Pistons team from last year. I think they have the talent on the roster. I just don't think long term they really have it right now. I'm sorry, Wizards fans. I don't like to talk bad about them because, like I said, they're kind of like my local favorite team, but it is what it is.
Oh, man.
Hey, you.
Who? Me?
What are you doing?
Nothing. I'm just kind of bored right now.
Do you like sports?
Yeah, I like sports.
How about podcasts?
I mean, yeah, who doesn't listen to a podcast nowadays?
Then you should check out Time Out with J&G. Check out Time Out with J&G every Wednesday as they give their expert opinions and professional picks on NFL, NBA, and college football. Anything you could want, they do. Check it out on the screen now. Let's go.
Whoa, this podcast is awesome. Thanks, weird voice.
So for this week's question of the week, we are looking at Levi, Tennessee. He says, do you think the Rockets are serious contenders in the West? And do you think the team up of Jalen Green and Alperen Sengun can win a championship? With the second part of that question, no, I don't think Jalen Green's going to be on this team full time. I know he's just got his rookie extension, but it's like 2+1 or something like that. Like it's a very not strange. Like I think it's actually good for the Rockets. Kind of they gave him an extension, but they have an out pretty quickly. So I don't think Jalen Green's going to be here long term. I think they've have a lot of pieces on their bench that they're hoping to develop to kind of take the place of Jalen Green being a very, very streaky scorer. And I don't think they want that. But do I think they're real contenders? They remind me similar to like last year's Oklahoma City Thunder team where they have this really, really big breakout year. And they're really, really good. And Oklahoma was the 1 seed. They ended up losing the second round of the playoffs last year. And I think it's going to be something similar to the Rockets right now. I think they're a very, very good team. They had their breakout season. They got that big game against Oklahoma City from Fred VanVleet was insane. Jabari Smith Jr. has not been great, and I've seen a lot of people calling for him to be traded. I think you have to still give him time. Alperen Sengun's been really, really good. Cam Whitmore, they've been kind of sent down to the G League. He hasn't quite had the season from last year. Jalen Green's, again, very, very streaky. Amin Thompson and Tari Eason have been phenomenal. Those two come off the bench, and they get it done. They're defensive monsters. They're being able to score. If we can get Amin Thompson to fully develop a jump shot, man, this team is going to be... I think that's who they want to kind of play that 1-2 role over Jalen Green is a fully developed Amin Thompson. I think he's just going to take that role from them. They have so much going for them. And right now, they're the number 2 defense in the league. They are very, very good defensively. And offensively they're 16th. They're middle of the pack. But again... That's with the guys like Fred VanVleet not really being a scorer for most of the season except that Oklahoma City game. Jabari Smith Jr. having kind of a down season. They've definitely lost some of the scoring they had last year in those big outbursts, but they've been really, really good. The biggest thing about the Rockets that worry me is that they just really can't shoot the ball. They're 26th in the league in shooting percentage, shooting about 44% as a team, which is 26th in the league, and then about 33% from the three-point line, which is 25th in the league. They just aren't getting the ball in the basket consistent enough for me to be really not excited, but like I don't know if I quite fear this team yet. Now again, they're the number 2 team defensively. Defense is going to translate all the time, especially in the playoffs as the game slows down into the half-court offenses. If their defense can stay top 5, I think they're always going to have a big shot. But if they cannot hit their jump shots, it's going to be very, very tough. In the Western Conference, you have Rudy Gobert, you have Anthony Davis, you have Jokic, who isn't exactly like a crazy, phenomenal inside defender, but they still have a good team defense over there. And the Thunder, obviously, with Chet Holmgren and Isaiah Hartenstein's been really, really good. There's a lot of good defensive centers in the Western Conference, and if you cannot jump shoot, you're going to want to get to the basket. Well, getting to the basket against these teams is not going to be easy. So I think it just might be 1 or 2 years too early for this Rockets team. I think they still need some more development from like a Reed Shepherd, who you want to get more minutes next year, hoping is a little bit better. Amin Thompson, Tari Eason. You hope Jabari Smith Jr. kind of has more of a bounce-back season. Maybe Cam Whitmore can get in the rotation a little bit more. I think he might just be a little bit too early on the Rockets, but I definitely think they are a force to be reckoned with for years to come. Now, I appreciate you guys watching this episode of The Cloud Report. This week, I'm dropping a... the reason I did the Wizards today is because I'm actually dropping a rebuild on them tomorrow. Spoiler alert. But they've just been a very, very interesting team. So I just want to talk about them legit before I kind of rebuilt them on 2K, because I don't really talk about the teams on 2K that much. I appreciate you guys watching the podcast, man. We moved it from Wednesdays to Thursdays, so go check that out. It'll be up on the screen right now. But the reason we moved it is because we are now on playback. The podcast Time Out with J&G is on playback every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We live stream your game. Last week was our first one. We had a lot of fun. This week is the NBA Cup game, so we're going to have to figure out the schedule for that. But check us out on Playback on Tuesdays and Thursday for the podcast. And on this video, go down, like, comment, subscribe. I'm trying to hit 500 subscribers, but I cannot do that without each and every one of you. See you guys later. Peace.